Hi, Craig Harrison here from the real estate team at Business Depot. I've been having lots of conversation with clients and potential clients about rent roll acquisitions. And in the context of rent roll acquisitions, there's a couple of things to think about. Well, first of all, should you? Does it make sense within your business to acquire a rent roll? And secondly, if we come to the conclusion that yes, you should, how do we finance it? How do we make it happen? Rent rolls are fairly big, expensive, so that's a really key consideration. So firstly, should you? Should you buy a rent roll? You need to map out how acquiring a rent roll will land within your business. What will it do for your business? It'll increase your recurring revenue month to month in property management commission, but it will also increase your costs, at least to some extent. It could be extra property managers, it could be extra vehicle costs, it could be extra subscriptions, but typically you need to take some extra costs on, potentially finance, and we'll talk about that in a second. But you need to understand what that would do month to month within your business. Then how do you make that happen? If we've done the numbers, we've determined that yes, it absolutely makes sense. That's a great thing for you to do within your business. Not many people can buy a rent roll with cash. It usually requires some level of finance. And how do the banks look at that? So banks will lend against rent rolls. It varies bank to bank, but a bit of a rule of thumb that we use is they'll normally fund, say, 60% of the value of the rent roll, and then you need to find the other 40%. That can be from cash, it could be from security against other assets, it could be from security against your existing business and your existing rent roll. So if you've organically grown a rent roll that's got some equity value that's equal to or more than the 40% that you need to fund, then you can use that to help acquire a rent roll. It's obviously going to add some interest costs within your business that you need to think about when you determine whether or not it makes sense within your business. But these are all the things that you need to map out and work through to decide whether or not it makes sense in your business. Something we love to do with our clients and potential clients. So if it's something that's of interest to you, please reach out to Business Depot. Cheers.